What if I told you a car once sold to the public could flip over just by making a gentle turn? Or that a motorcycle so fast and unstable it earned the nickname the Widowmaker was pulled off the streets for causing too many deaths? Or how about an electric car so efficient, oil companies might have had a hand in its disappearance? These aren't fictional horror stories. They're real machines that were deemed too dangerous, too unpredictable, or too revolutionary to be allowed on the roads. Today, we're diving deep into the world of vehicles that were banned, not because they broke down, but because they broke the rules of safety, physics, or the status quo. We're counting down 10 of the most controversial and outright terrifying vehicles that were either banned by governments, pulled by manufacturers, or buried by corporations. By the end of this video, you'll understand just how close we've come to disaster, and why some cars are never meant to hit the road. So hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Number 10, Reliant Robin, the British flip machine. The Reliant Robin is possibly the most unintentionally comedic vehicle ever made. A three-wheeled British car, two wheels in the back, one in the front. It looked like something out of a Saturday morning cartoon. But the real comedy came from its complete lack of stability. The car was so light and top-heavy that it had a tendency to tip over even in slow turns. We're talking 15 miles per hour or less. British TV personality Jeremy Clarkson once showed it flipping over repeatedly during a Top Gear segment, which, hilariously, wasn't staged. The Robin was initially popular due to cheap taxation. It was classified as a motorcycle, and it could be driven on a motorcycle license. But the constant tipping incidents led to it being banned from certain UK roads and denied import approval in other countries. Its legacy? A punchline, and a prime example of what happens when engineering prioritizes cost over physics. Number 9, Tucker 48, the car that scared Detroit. In 1948, Preston Tucker released a car that should have changed the world. The Tucker 48 had safety features that wouldn't appear in mainstream cars for decades. Seatbelts, a padded dashboard, fuel injection, a rear engine for better crumple zones, and a Cyclops eye, a center headlight that turned with the steering wheel. But it scared the wrong people. The big three automakers, GM, Ford, and Chrysler, allegedly lobbied against it. Then the government stepped in. Tucker was investigated for fraud. Although he was acquitted, the negative press destroyed investor confidence. Production stopped after just 51 cars. The Tucker 48 wasn't banned in the legal sense, but it was effectively erased. The automotive industry never allowed anything like it again, not for decades. It's one of the earliest examples of how corporate pressure can kill innovation just as effectively as regulation. Number 8, Kawasaki H2 Mach 4, the Widowmaker. In the early 70s, Kawasaki released a two-stroke 750cc motorcycle that instantly became a legend for all the wrong reasons. The H2 Mach 4 was powerful, lightweight, and terrifyingly fast. It could reach 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, but it lacked modern suspension, brakes, or tire technology to handle that kind of speed. The bike had a violent power band. Riders reported that the front wheel would lift unexpectedly, even mid-turn, sending them flying. The rear wheel could lock up with a downshift. Worst of all, it had drum brakes, nearly useless at high speeds. After a wave of fatal crashes, lawsuits, and bans from insurance companies, the bike earned its grim nickname, the Widowmaker. Eventually, Countries began banning import or road usage, and Kawasaki was forced to redesign their future superbikes with far more stability and safety in mind. Number 7. Bricklin SV1, the safety vehicle. That wasn't the SV1, short for Safety Vehicle 1, was a Canadian-American hybrid built in the mid-70s. The idea? Create a sports car with revolutionary safety. It featured energy-absorbing bumpers, a roll cage, and non-corrosive acrylic body panels over fiberglass. Oh, and dramatic gull-wing doors that operated hydraulically. On paper, this was a genius idea. In reality, a disaster. The doors often got stuck closed, especially in cold weather or during power failures, essentially trapping occupants inside. The acrylic body cracked easily. Fit and finish were terrible, and quality control was laughable. And then came the crash tests. Some early prototypes split in half, others burst into flames, and in one horrifying test, a crash dummy was decapitated. With rising recalls and customer injuries, countries like Canada refused to certify the car for road use. Production stopped after 2,800 units, and the SV1 became a tragic case of good intentions gone horribly wrong. Number 6. Ford Pinto, the exploding coffin. The Ford Pinto was meant to be a fast, cheap subcompact to compete with imports in the 1970s. But a deadly design flaw turned it into one of the most infamous cars in U.S. history. The Pinto's fuel tank was located dangerously close to the rear bumper with minimal protection. In a rear-end collision, even at just 20 to 30 miles per hour, the tank could rupture, causing massive fireballs. Ford knew about the issue. Internal memos revealed it would cost just $11 per car to fix the design. But Ford executives calculated that it was cheaper to pay out lawsuits from burn victims than to perform a recall. That cold calculation backfired. At least 27 people died, dozens more were injured, families sued, news outlets blasted Ford, public trust crumbled. Under mounting pressure, Ford finally issued a recall. While the Pinto was never officially banned, its production ended in disgrace, and it became a textbook case of profits over people. Number 5. Audi 5000, the car that accelerated on its own. In the late 80s, the Audi 5000 made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Reports started flooding in that the car would suddenly accelerate on its own, often in parking lots or while shifting from park to drive. Parents said the car drove through garages. Others claimed they couldn't stop the car even with their foot on the brake. The turning point came in 1986 when 60 Minutes aired a segment showing a modified Audi 5000 accelerating without the driver touching the gas. Although later exposed as misleading, they tampered with the car, the damage was done. Sales in the U.S. plummeted 84% in just 1 year. Audi became the face of corporate negligence. While later studies revealed most of the cases were likely pedal misapplication, drivers mistaking the gas for the brake, the public perception couldn't be undone. States like Illinois and Massachusetts passed bills to ban the sale of the model unless fixed, and Audi was forced to redesign its entire braking system. Number 4. Chevrolet Corvair. Unsafe at any speed. The Chevy Corvair was GM's answer to the Volkswagen Beetle, a stylish, affordable rear-engine coupe. But it had a secret flaw: its swing-axle rear suspension. This design made the car incredibly unstable during cornering or sudden maneuvers. The rear wheels could tuck under, lifting the car's rear and causing it to flip. Ralph Nader, a young lawyer at the time, published a book titled Unsafe at Any Speed, with the first chapter devoted to the Corvair. He accused GM of knowingly releasing a death trap. Instead of recalling the car, GM hired private investigators to dig up dirt on Nader, which only fueled the scandal further. The backlash led to congressional hearings, the eventual creation of the NHTSA, and stricter auto safety laws in the U.S. While the Corvair wasn't outright banned, its production was quietly killed off. It became a symbol of corporate irresponsibility and the power of public pressure to change laws. Number 3, Porsche 917, the race car that flew. The Porsche 917 is legendary for its dominance at Le Mans in the early 1970s. But before it became a champion, it was nearly undrivable. Early versions of the 917 had aerodynamic lift. At speeds over 200 miles per hour, instead of hugging the road, the car wanted to take off. Test drivers reported that the car felt light and unstable, even on straights. At one point, Porsche's own drivers refused to race it, calling it suicidal. Tragically, several drivers lost their lives during practice runs. In response, Porsche created the 917K, a shorter tail variant with better aerodynamics and rear downforce. Even then, the car was so fast and powerful that some racing leagues began banning it outright, citing safety concerns. Number 2, Group B rally cars. Too fast to exist. Group B was a motorsport class introduced in the early 1980s. It allowed almost no restrictions on weight, horsepower, or design. The result? Cars like the Peugeot 205 T16, Lancia Delta S4, and Audi Quattro S1. Machines with 600-plus horsepower, 0 to 60 times under 3 seconds, and bodies made of lightweight plastic. These beasts raced on narrow dirt roads, lined with thousands of fans, many standing inches from the speeding cars. Crashes were inevitable. But in 1986, tragedy struck hard. Henri Toivonen and his co-driver died when their Lancia went off a cliff and exploded. Just 3 days later, the FIA announced that Group B was banned forever. The cars were too fast, the fans too close, and the line between thrill and death was crossed one too many times. Number 1, GMEV1, the car that was too good. In the 1990s, General Motors created a car that was decades ahead of its time, the EV1, a fully electric vehicle that emitted zero emissions, had a top speed of 80 miles per hour, and could go 100-plus miles on a charge. It was smooth, quiet, and incredibly efficient. Customers loved it, but GM never sold the EV1. They leased them, and when the leases ended, GM took the cars back and crushed them. Why? Theories range from pressure by the oil industry to fear of cannibalizing their own gas-powered lineup. Whatever the reason, GM cited lack of consumer demand despite years-long waiting lists. The EV1 wasn't banned by the government. It was killed by corporate decision. It's the only car on this list banned not for being dangerous, but for being too good. In conclusion, from cars that flipped over in parking lots to motorcycles that turned thrill seekers into headlines, these vehicles serve as cautionary tales, reminders of what happens when engineering, speed, and greed go unchecked. Which one shocked you the most? Would you still want to drive any of them? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who thinks their car is dangerous, because they haven't seen anything yet.